Mswati inkosi ithula akayithathe akahambe nayo akayithathe yedenza kade ngone akayithathe
You're watching another edition of Market View ERS Text Talk right here on Eswatini TV. I am Notselis Tole. Glad to have you on the program. As artificial intelligence rapidly changes the way institutions work and deliver impact, it is now becoming an everyday tool, helping businesses, governments and non-governmental organizations to streamline their operations. It is with these changes in mind that the EU delegation in Eswatini convened NGO leaders on integrating AI into local development work. As economies move with the times, how can AI be adopted responsibly by governments and their development partners, and which sectors probably need it the most and immediately? We'll speak to Thomas Churchyard on AI and its relevance in local development. We'll also cross over to our business news, where the State of the Youth report notes that youth account for 28% of all MSME owners in the country, translating to nearly 19,000 young entrepreneurs operating across various sectors. Stay tuned for more. In our business update, 28% of small and medium enterprises, SMEs, in Eswatini are owned by young people under the age of 35. This is according to the 2026 State of the Youth report by the Eswatini National Youth Council. The findings come as the country has an estimated 94,000 micro, small and medium enterprises, that is according to the FinScope blended MSME survey of 2023, with youth under 35 making up 73% of the population. We spoke to the Director of Small and Medium Enterprises, Simluleki Dlamini, on what this means for youth entrepreneurship. The Youth Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Eswatini, has also reacted to the findings.
As a ministry, we feel that we do have an obligation and a duty to support these businesses through various financial support mechanisms that we have. In the report, it only states that this support comes from the Youth Enterprise Revolving Fund, which is around 33 million as we speak today, and we see that other financial support mechanisms such as the Small Scale Enterprise Loan Guarantee Scheme can come in handy to further assist these businesses. And we also have our Informal Traders Revolving Fund that they can tap into, and also our Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises Revolving Fund that they can use as well. So basically we feel that we really need to support these businesses so that they contribute meaningfully to our economy through employment creation and also poverty alleviation. And we believe that the youth will support this initiative. We also have, lastly, our Women Micro Small Revolving Fund that is also assisting businesses in terms of support, but basically focusing on women businesses in the rural areas.
Vice President of the Youth Chamber of Commerce Industries, Eswatini, Bonke Mota, shared these sentiments.
We can do more as a country, and I think a lot of young people that are in business, informal or formal, you know, that still needs to be part of the formal sort of economy. So there's still a lot we need to do in that sort of like a sector, or just dealing with young people. How can we make sure there's a proper pipeline of them running successful businesses? So that number is low. I think as young people and as government, as stakeholders, we can come together, we can improve that number, I'm sure. When I looked at the report and I love the recommendations, I mean, let me just pick three of the recommendations. I think the first one is the tax incentive for private sector, people that employ young people. I think that can be a lot, that tax incentive for just the private sector can decrease the youth unemployment. And also, you know, there's a lot of assumptions around PPPs that youth companies or youth-led entities cannot be part of PPPs. And PPPs are part of the gateways for access to finance, access to markets, because a PPP is a structured sort of business environment. So we need a lot of young people or young entities to be partnering with government and other stakeholders in being involved in the PPPs. And of course, I think there's a lag time that happens with access to finance. We do apply for finance, but you find that by the time I receive the finance, it's 3 months or 5 months, 6 months after actually I've applied. So we need to make sure that we streamline the process. It has to be much more quicker, and we have to look at the opportunity as well. The funder should look at the opportunity so that, when it should make sense, talk to the entrepreneur, understand, do they need the money now? And if you can't give the money now, there should be transparency around that the money won't be, because a lot of young entrepreneurs apply for the money, apply for the loan, but they're optimistic that they will get the loan within a week or a day or 24 hours, but you discover that it will take 3 months, 4 months. By the time the opportunity already has forgone, you already lost the client. So those are some of the recommendations. But as Youth Chamber, one of the things that we have created or projects, the first one is the AI chatbot, which will deal with how now the young person validates an opportunity.
Some of the recommendations of the report in the Youth Innovation, Entrepreneurship and Employment category is that public-private partnerships for training, apprenticeships and job placement should be promoted. Introduce tax incentives for companies that hire and train young people. Launch a national youth scheme combining vocational training, digital skills and community service. Introduce youth quotas in government tendering processes and streamline the youth funding process, which is currently described as long and frustrating. The last recommendation in this category is the building of capacity in artificial intelligence skills for young people. Reporting, Nelson Dlangamandla for Minkosinzinisa Manzini.
The United Kingdom High Commission, with the support of the African Continental Free Trade Area Secretariat, has released a synthesis report on the African Continental Free Trade Area gap analysis. Regarding Eswatini, the report says that early evidence, such as the Eswatini gap analysis, has begun to influence ongoing policy and legislative processes. The report states that the Eswatini Investment Promotion Authority has confirmed that the recommendations are being actively considered as part of the ongoing review of the Eswatini Investment Trade Promotion Bill and the National Investment Policy. The authorities have indicated their intention to incorporate some of the report's proposed actions into these instruments to advance alignment with the AFCFTA Protocol on Investment. In particular, the gap analysis has informed discussions on strengthening investment promotion and facilitation mechanisms. Proposed reforms include developing a consolidated online investment rulebook, establishing statutory service standards and facilitating performance reporting, and formally designated APA as the national focal point. The report further indicates that the authorities are also considering measures to formalize interagency cooperation through a memorandum of understanding between key institutions involved in investment facilitation. Additional reforms under consideration include improving investment transparency, screening procedures, and investor aftercare. This includes establishing clearer regulatory criteria and timelines for investment screening, creating a consolidated national investment information portal, and developing an aftercare strategy with measurable performance indicators, including targets for small and medium-sized enterprise linkages and gender inclusion. The African Continental Free Trade Area is a massive continent-wide free trade agreement. It connects 54 nations and 1.4 billion people, aiming to eliminate tariffs, reduce non-tariff barriers, and create a single market for goods and services. And you're up to date with some of the latest in business. After the break, we speak to Thomas Churchyard of the EU Cooperation Facility.
akayithathe akahambe nayo
labo labasebuhlungwini abakhohlwe mtotonke le tindlu temhlaba
Those that are in pain must forget all the problems
ngoba
they
kuthi
have.
answer la kule tindlu temhlaba
Because the things of the earth have got no answer.
answer la ikhona khona
But the answer that we have
ikulona losetule
is
emazulwini
all morning.
nangishumayela nini ngisuke ngidishumayela kwananami
When I'm preaching here, I'm preaching to
I
myself.
receive umoya longcwele
I receive the Holy Spirit.
I declare ukuthi a turnaround is coming my way
Memendela ukuthi a turnaround is coming in my life.
inkosi thula akayithathe akahambe nayo
Welcome back, and moving on with the program, non-governmental organizations play a vital role in economic development and community transformation. As artificial intelligence continues to change the way the world works, the question is, how ready are these organizations to adapt? From data analysis and service delivery to communications, monitoring and evaluation, AI tools are really creating new opportunities for civil society organizations to work more effectively and make better informed decisions. Recently, the European Union Cooperation Facility hosted a leaders' workshop on integrating artificial intelligence into local development work. Thomas Churchyard, key expert from the EU Cooperation Facility, joins us to unpack why this conversation actually matters now more than ever. Thomas, good afternoon. Thank you very much for your time. Allow me to start here. The conversation on AI is received differently by different individuals, different opinions across different platforms, and it is continuous. But I want to ask, in your engagement with some of the NGO leaders, what are some of the misconceptions that they have about AI and how it has come to change the way they conduct their work?
Good afternoon, Notile, and good afternoon, Eswatini. So yesterday we hosted this workshop with NGO leaders in order to really have those conversations. We wanted to understand some of the fears and concerns, of course, with any change, whether it be the calculator, the internet, or any technological advancement. There comes fears of change and fears of and doubts over job security, over how it could be used in our Eswatini context. And so yesterday's workshop was really about trying to better understand what AI is, what it's not, what it can do at the moment, what it may do in the future but can't currently, and really understand how it can be integrated into non-profit development work. We've seen from the profit sector that AI is being integrated into lots of different ways in their core business, but we don't want to be left behind as civil society, as development partners working in the country for social justice and social good.
You've highlighted on job security, and there is a concern that AI could replace certain job functions from, whether it be data analysis or writing. Just share with me your thoughts on this one. Should the sector be preparing for job displacement or rather job transformation?
I'm very much optimistic for the latter, that we can adapt and transform the way that we work to accommodate AI as a tool and allow humans to oversee various processes rather than do them. Obviously, that's going to incur a change in the way that we work. It's going to incur retraining in some cases. But even yesterday, in our conversations with with NGO leaders, we were discussing how some functions, core functions of what we would call development work, are quite AI-proof, providing mental health services, health services in general, education, community development work, work with youth. All of these functions may use AI, but they're not going to be replaced by AI. Whilst in other sectors, in other skills or industries, including finance, as you've said, M&E, monitoring and evaluation, we might find that humans can use AI as a tool to become more effective, and more efficient, whilst it is my intention and my hope that it won't replace jobs.
It won't replace jobs. So you say NGOs are known to be major employers of professionals across different fields, whether it's researchers or community mobilizers. Allow me to ask, if it's not really there to replace particularly human capital, what does it really mean for employment opportunities?
Sure. So as we are investing as a country in this sort of fourth industrial revolution, we call it, this technological green skills, we're trying to invest in new and 21st century skills that can really take our workplace to the next level and be competitive on an international market and competitive to make products and deliver services internationally. We need to adapt to AI. We discussed yesterday that AI is a moving train. If you consider the fact that we have only really 3 years of generative AI since the first ChatGPT version came out in 2022, and in that 3 years, it's developed and grown at such a fast rate. The question really is: Are we going to adapt? Are we going to lead even in this agenda? Or are we going to get left behind? And we certainly want to be in that first group. So how, even in the non-profit space where there isn't the resources of the corporate sector or the for-profit sector, how can we still adapt our functions to ensure that we are leading that agenda?
We've been hailed for progress in the digital space in the country, Mr. Churchyard, but maybe your observations. Given the progress that we've made, do you think we've done enough in terms of the adoption of AI across various sectors, or you think there's more that needs to be done? Where do we really stand?
I can see that ERS is doing a lot, and that government is making strides to adapt to digital solutions. The government in your hand model, for instance, and decentralizing services online. But there's still more to do. It's a very fast-moving industry, as we've said, and we, for instance, need to look into ways in which we can regulate AI as a country, and that we can create policy frameworks and legal frameworks that respond to AI. There are other countries in the region that are doing this now, and it's something that even MPs here in Eswatini have called for, and it's something that's very necessary. Yesterday at our workshop, for instance, we were joined by Professor Sandile Motza from UNESCO, and he was talking about how, as an institution, the university has tried to create policies to govern AI use amongst students and amongst faculty members as well, so that they can better be more transparent and better adopt and adapt to this new technology, this new tool.
Your expert opinion, Mr. Churchyard, if you are advising donors, government officials, NGO leaders, what investment would you say has the potential to deliver the highest return for the development sector?
So we've been working significantly with the European Union on skills and skills for employability and entrepreneurship. That's the main focus of the multi-annual indicative plan of the EU, which lasts until 2027, 2028. And in that, it involves working with tertiary institutions to build strong, robust, and future-proof skills for Eswatini youth, particularly. So how can we work within the TVET sector and the STEM sector to make sure that we're not teaching skills that will be obsolete in 5 to 10 years' time, but that we're teaching skills that will be future-proof and that can take our young generation, of which we've got a huge young population, as you know, in Eswatini, decades forward in the future, and secure jobs and livelihoods for them, and boost the economy going forward. So that's really the main focus of the EU program here in Eswatini, and my main focus as well as a social inclusion expert.
Right. Before we wrap it up, it has been reported or admitted that certainly there is a skills gap, but there's also the digital divide. Given the work that NGOs do in the country, how best can they leverage AI to improve efficiency without really widening this digital divide between those who have access to technology and those that don't?
For sure. And we've seen this in the training yesterday. Most of the partners that we were working with yesterday had used AI maybe on an informal basis, and there's still quite a lot of shame around using AI. It seems like it's still seen as something close to cheating or close to cutting corners. But realistically, we see that in the rest of the world, or particularly in the global north, that a good percentage of the working population are using AI on a weekly basis. Up to 30, 40, 50% in some countries. In the Philippines and in the UAE, 70% of the population are using AI on a weekly basis. So if we don't jump on that train as well, then we risk stretching that digital divide even further, and many sub-Saharan African countries will be left behind. My advice to partners yesterday was, let's start by trying it out in a business model, in a professional setting, not by just turning a picture of yourself into a cartoon or whatever other uses we might have, but really trying to see how we can embed this tool into our daily work, where it works, where it doesn't work, and how you can do better, because it's only by practice that you get better at these things, just like any tool. And so I encourage people to use it, test it out, but be careful with what you upload and what you send through an AI platform, because of course, just like any cloud service or any online digital service, it's also risky at times and you can expose your data to risk.
Thomas, we'll leave you here. Thank you very much for talking to us. That was Thomas Churchyard, just sharing insights on the role of artificial intelligence in local development. This is after the EU delegation in Eswatini hosted a workshop for non-government organizational leaders on how to integrate artificial intelligence in their line of work. We'll speak to economist Sanele Sibia after this.
Attention retailers, importers, clearing agents and customs brokers. All television sets and decoders entering the Kingdom of Eswatini now require mandatory ESTVA authorization before customs clearance. No clearance without valid ESTVA import permit. Don't risk delays at the border. Submit your application 24 to 48 hours before your shipment arrives. We process complete applications in just 1 to 2 working days. Our QR-coded permits make the verification quick and easy. Always double-check your HS codes and quantities for smooth compliance. The process is simple. Step 1. Submit your completed application form. Annex A with product line items for TVs, decoders, and commercial invoice. Step 2. Eswatini TV reviews and approves. Step 3. Make payment and complete verification. Step 4. Receive your permit. Step 5. Clear customs smoothly at the border. Make sure you have all your required documents, a completed application form, Annex A detailing your product line items, commercial invoice, valid TV retailer license, and letter of authority if applicable. Our permits feature QR codes for easy border verification. For assistance, email us at license@eswatinitv.co.sz or call our help desk. Apply before your shipment arrives. Ensure compliance and avoid delays. Remember, all TV sets and decoders entering the Kingdom of Eswatini must have a valid ESTVA import permit. Thank you. Act now.
Welcome back. Economist Sanele Sibiya joins us for some of the latest in markets. Mr. Sibiya, good afternoon. Thank you very much for your time. So we do have tech variations and sell-offs leading markets, and also oil prices trading just below or close to pre-conflict levels. How positive is this for the global economy?
Thank you, Notsile. So what we saw was a close last night. The U.S. markets were somewhat pulled back by the tech sell-off, but following the results presentation by Micron, surpassing expectations, posting something in 46 billion in terms of earnings in the previous quarter, pushing the sales per share or earnings per share to around $25. We're seeing that momentum coming back into the markets. But as of yesterday, when we closed the US, the Dow Jones Industrial Average was up 182 points, and the Nasdaq Composite Index and the S&P 500 were down 110 points and 7 points respectively, given that tech sell-off. And then coming into the European markets, we're seeing that renewed hope around those artificial intelligence stocks, and the price of Brent crude oil coming back to those pre-war levels, pre-February 11 levels. We're seeing European markets taking that into stride, with London up 32 points and Germany up 174 points, and Paris up 45 points. We're seeing London tracking up back towards the 10,800 mark that we were before the war. And then coming into Japan, are we seeing that tech resurgence, pulling the Japanese markets back up to that 72,000 mark, gaining 3,191 points in today's trade, while Hong Kong is lost 335 points, and Shanghai is actually propped up 9 points in today's trade, being pushed by that tech rally. But we do know there are still those structural imbalances within the Hong Kong market. And then coming into Johannesburg, the Johannesburg Stock Exchange is up 503 points, just beginning on the backdrop of lower oil price. But what we are seeing with the Johannesburg Stock Exchange is oil price is also coming with a gold price that is subdued below the 4,000 mark, and we are seeing that hampering the Johannesburg Stock Exchange to the 110,000 mark. And then in terms of Eswatini, we haven't seen any changes there. In terms of the commodities, gold is down below the 4,000 mark, and Brent crude oil is down below the $75 per barrel mark, sitting at $73 per barrel in terms of Brent crude oil, given by the fact that we are seeing ships sailing out of the Strait of Hormuz. And then in terms of the currencies, the Lilangeni remains relatively weaker, but we've seen some marginal gains against the dollar, gaining some 0.02 points and gaining some 0.05 points against the euro, while still maintaining momentum against the Japanese yen. Now that's given the movements within the gold markets and the overall resurgence of the dollar strength. Thank you, Notsile.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sibiya. That was in-house economist Sanele Sibiya sharing insights on the day's trade. Otherwise, this has been the weekly broadcast of Market View ERS Tax Talk right here on Eswatini TV. From myself and the team, thank you for your company. Let's meet again next time. Take care.